So, yes, he was surprised by Brock Lesnar. And that attack, he didn't know it was coming. And besides the fact that we found out Bobby has no friends, nobody gives a shit about him, he didn't come to help him. But then they go to break and they come back from the break. And now the referees are checking on him. About 5 or 6 of them. Where were you motherfuckers a minute ago when I needed you, right? But then here comes Seth freaking Rollins, or Seth Franklin Rollins, with his ribs taped up from the pay-per-view, and he wants the match now. Because even though Seth is hurt, Lashley's even hurter. And he goads Lashley on the microphone. You know, what kind of soldier are you? You're a disgrace to your country. Bobby did serve in the military. He's very proud of that. So now, of course, Lashley is goaded into, after he's been taken apart by Brock Lesnar, he's going to get in the ring. And again, there's the doctor and the referees. Where were they when this fucking act was being perpetrated that they're so worried now? And now the doctor's going to let him, obviously, get in there. And Lashley goes for the spear, and Seth catches him in a flying pedigree. And if that had been it, I think that may have been acceptable. But it was a 2 count because they still wanted Bobby to show a little more life. Here's the thing. Unless you're in a situation like that where the guy's been hurt, unless you're going to go all the way and still have a competitive match, beat the guy as quick as possible. The old deal, you know, Dusty used to love that finish where the way he switched the World Tag Team title with Rock and Roll and Tully and Arn. Tully and Arn are in the ring. Rock and Roll are on the way to the ring to defend the belts. Midnight Express, mad that they don't get the title match. Instead of Tully and Arn, jump the Rock and Roll in the aisleway and hurt Ricky Morton. Robert Gibson has to go it alone because if they can't defend, they will have to forfeit. That's why the babyface doesn't want to forfeit the match. He doesn't want to forfeit the title. Which I don't know that was ever even brought up here with Lashley and Rollins. It was just, he's goading him personally. Not that Lashley stood to lose a tremendous prize. And then what would happen? Robert Gibson would get, or whatever babyface was doing this angle, would get the early advantage, but then he would be shut down and he'd be being waltzed across Texas. And his partner would come back and make the tag and come in and throw 3 or 4 punches, and then the injury would be capitalized on and down he'd go. I think if that spear into the pedigree looked so good, if that had been the 1, 2, 3, I think it would have not only got a pop, but maybe got some fucking heat. But instead, 2 count. And then Rollins goes to the top and does a splash off the top rope on the guy with his own ribs taped up. Sold him, yes. But why would you do that? 2 count. Then Rollins missed a curb stomp and Lashley hit a spear. Now both of them are selling, but now you've showed to people that Lashley was able to do a spear. He's not completely defenseless. Lashley goes for the hurt lock, but he can't get it with the bad arm, so Rollins stops that. Super kick, elbow, curb stomp, leads the fans in, oh, oh, oh. He's leading the fans, and then instead of capitalizing on the advantage he got over this dangerous opponent, then he hits another curb stomp, 1, 2, 3. New United States champion. Lashley wasn't fucked by an opportunist who capitalized on he just got the shit kicked out of him by Lesnar. He was beaten flat in the middle with a fucking finish at that point by another fucking guy. And then after the break, he's in the back. Basically said, I'll get Rollins later on, but I want to see Brock next week here on television. And he wasn't even sweating. If it wasn't a pre-tape, either they dried him off or just his incredible cardio. But he was wincing to sell. He was not visibly marked in any way and wasn't even sweating after getting the shit kicked out of him by Brock and being beaten by Seth Rollins. So Bobby Lashley needed MVP and the Hurt Business to be the star of the show, and that was a perfect showcase. As a soft-spoken, mealy-mouthed babyface by himself, he's twisting in the fucking wind. Your thoughts?
They're booking him like he's Austin Theory. I can't really explain what's going on here. And again, you would think if he's the babyface, Lesnar's the heel and Rollins is the heel. And they were both treated like babyfaces, so I don't know what the hell's going on. Jim, do you think Lashley started that day, which ended so wrong, with a good breakfast?
No, I do not. I do not think that he started with a good breakfast, because I think that, honestly, poor Bobby Lashley, even though he tries to take care of his body, he's got to be in a horrible depression over the way that they're treating him, and he probably got up and ate a bunch of carb and sugar-filled processed food, and that's why that he was able to be taken advantage of that quickly by Brock Lesnar. But if he'd gotten up and had a quality breakfast filled with nutrients that wasn't bad for his body, he would have gone through all of those different opponents like X-Lax through a widow woman. That's what he would have done. And I'll tell you, folks, if you want to do the same thing, you know about our friends at Magic Spoon. I'm telling you, when you were a kid, you wanted to eat all that bad sugar and cereal and carb and processed stuff and everything. You wanted to sit down and watch cartoons or sit down and watch wrestling. And as a matter of fact, when I was a child, and when the wrestling program was on earlier in the day, I would sometimes have a bowl of cereal. I will not talk about what kind it was. It was the kind that looked like little rice and was very crispy. But that stuff had sugar and carbohydrates in it. And you know what else I'd do to it, Brian? I would pour sugar on top of that to make sure that the milk was sugary too. Thankfully, I turned out all right, but things could have gone south with the way that I was eating. Well, now, cereal that tastes good and is good for you doesn't have to suck. It just needs a little magic. Do you believe in magic?
Well, don't use that.
In a young girl's heart.
Well, stop. Don't sing that, because there's no agreement between the Lovin' Spoonful and Magic Spoon, so we don't want to associate them inappropriately here.
Well, you know, you need a loving spoonful of Magic Spoon. That's what it is. You need to get that spoon that you normally use when you're loving, and you need to take it into the kitchen, out of the bedroom, and you need to have a big heaping spoonful of loving, courtesy of our friends at Magic Spoon. They'll spoon you the loving. They'll fork you the loving. Every once in a while, they'll give you some loving on the top of a butter knife.
What are you even talking about? And why did you have a spoon in the bedroom? But anyway, let's talk about Magic Spoon, a fun, delicious, and healthy.
For loving. And it's a loving spoonful of magic every time you eat some of the delicious Magic Spoon cereal. They have replicated your favorite childhood cereals to taste good and be good for you. Each serving 0 grams of sugar, 13 grams of protein, less than 5 grams of net carbs. It's low carb, keto-friendly, gluten-free, grain-free, soy-free, only 140 calories a serving. I'll have you know it's rat feces free. We've mentioned that there is actually a federal requirement for the amount of allowable rat feces in food. Well, Magic Spoon's eliminated that. You will not find any rat turds anywhere in this cereal.
That's right.
That's right.
You're saying something that's true for once. I want to make sure people know that's not a joke.
For once?
For once.
What are you talking about for once?
Well, for once here so far today, now.
No excrement in this cereal, folks, but there is incredible and unique flavors. Cocoa, fruity, frosted, peanut butter, blueberry muffin. Everybody loves a blueberry muffin. Maple waffle, honey nut, cookies and cream, and cinnamon roll. Cinnamon roll cereal. Can you imagine? And you don't even have to go to the mall to get it. All you've got to do, folks, is go to magicspoon.com/Jim, Jim, to grab a custom bundle of cereal and try the magic for yourself. Do you believe in magic in your cereal bowl? See, that's where it's going to be. Or you can put this in a coffee mug. You can drink it out of a glass. You can put it in one of those feed bags that you tie around a horse's neck.
That wouldn't be advisable.
Well, you could do it. You could eat this stuff out of anywhere. There's a lot of things you can do, might not be advisable. But if you go to magicspoon.com/Jim, grab a custom bundle, use the promo code Jim at checkout to save $5 off your order. And of course, the Magic Spoon folks have that 100% happiness guarantee. One bite of this Magic Spoon cereal, and you will be so deliriously happy that you may have to be restrained, possibly with a straitjacket or zip ties. You'll be bopping all around the place going, I can't believe I'm so happy. I'm deliriously happy. Because you're 100% happy.
You'll be normally happy.
Sometimes people aren't normally happy.
Well, you don't want to promise people or threaten people with delirium. You just want to say you're going to be happy, and
it's got a 100% happiness guarantee. That means this cereal will make you happy. That's 100%. If you don't like it for any reason, they will refund your money, no questions asked. I'd ask a lot of questions if it was me, but they're nicer than I am. Anyway, get that next delicious bowl of guilt-free cereal at magicspoon.com/Jim. Use the code Jim to save $5 off in the checkout process.